All right, Jason Rona back here at the Summer Indoor Nationals here at Hobby Action Raceway. We're here with Joe Pillars, the team manager for Team Yokomo, starting this year, a little bit of last year. And Joe, tell us about this switch over here with Yokomo and how the year's been going. And it's going by quickly, but at the same time, you guys have already had a ton of success with this new venture. So talk to us about Yokomo a little bit.
Yeah, everything's been really good so far. The way everything kind of worked out, it's kind of funny because we have the Nationals coming up next month, and that was kind of the end of the Nationals last year is when everything kind of started, in progress as far as, talking and working things out and seeing if it's something that was possible. And, Mayfield was a huge part of that, obviously, and kind of got me in connections with the right people over at Yokomo. And first race was the Worlds. We all know that went really well. It was a good kind of start to the relationship for a chassis manufacturer. And then I also got to make the change around the same time to represent JConcepts, which was really cool. That was it's always kind of cool because in the past it's like you go to races and you don't ever really know exactly what tires to run. And, since the change, it's like the team's huge and everybody works together on compounds and tread patterns. So that's been cool as far as like a little side note on like my, like the regional races I do, stuff like that. And then, starting January was kind of our first big race, CRCRC. A lot of success there for the Yokomo guys. We built a really good team. And now kind of the way it's working right now is Mayfield's like our factory driver, and then we have also brought on JP Richards and Max Fleur and Drayton Staub. That's kind of like our big four on our team. And, we're building up the regional guys, and I think at the end of this year we're going to continue to grow.
As for many years in this industry, it's in the USA, it's basically been team associated, TLR, Kyosho's had some presence, obviously you were heavily involved there, but in general, it's been very dominated by team associated and TLR. Yokomo two-wheel drive cars were very hard to come by or see in the market here. Granted, they had a lot of success in Japan and also in the hands of Lee Martin at Euros events. But here it's been a little rare, but now with you on board and Mayfield out there showing what the car can do, things have really kind of grown. And, it's now the cars, you see them out there available in the stores. And tell us about kind of that process of sort of getting that two-wheel drive mindset and then bringing that new four-wheel drive along into the new stores and everything.
Yeah, well, I know Mayfield and Shin have been working really well together as far as testing, developing. And one thing I really like about Yokomo is they're very motivated. So if Mayfield's testing something, finds something better for the cars, then, he relays the information to Shin, and, we have a working prototype at least within a month. So, not a lot of companies have that type of a turnaround. And, it's been really cool to kind of see that A-Main was stocking the stuff. They've been stocking it for a few years, and sometimes you just need, to have a little bit of a push to kind of get things moving. And as soon as I came on board in November, talking with Ryan, we kind of decided on how we would want to go about forming a team, and then just kind of started taking resumes at that time. It was actually almost too late in the season to really go after, a lot of regional guys or, go through a lot of resumes, because by the time this all started, it was already December 1st. So yeah, all the contracts were kind of mostly done. So we, at the moment, I think we're right around 100 drivers for 2018, which is a really good start. Like you said, Associated Los, their team is probably ×3 that. So it's a good start. Yokomo, at first when this happened, they're like, man, I hope, we can start moving some kits. This would be good, get some feedback. And A-Main sold out of stuff very, very fast. So then they had to up their orders. Yokomo had to start producing more stuff. And so far, the feedback is great on the cars. Ryan's always helping develop them, as well as our other guys, JP, Max, and Drayton. So I think you get feedback from those 4 guys. It's, you can kind of reach everybody's kind of driving level. What works for some people doesn't always work for other people. But I think our cars are really easy to drive. They're very strong. And their price point, I think, is pretty competitive with what else is out there.
Yeah, I mean, what I kind of notice is, with dealing with Ryan is he's kind of quick to decide when he likes and when he doesn't like something, and he wants it to happen quickly and fast because he knows the next race is just around the corner, and he's expected to produce a result, and the equipment has to be up to a certain standard. And I mean, I know that we were it was not that long ago we were at the Reedy race when Ryan first started running Yokomo. He was in contention for the win in the overall at the Reedy race, but I know he basically said, I don't really like the 4-wheel we currently have, and it's doing an okay job for me, but he really kind of stressed that he wanted it to be new. He had his own idea of how the car should feel for him, and it wasn't long, and they turned this, the YZ4 SF around, and he ends up winning the Worlds with it. And so it kind of shows what the guy can do when the stars align and the product aligns for him, right?
Yeah, I mean, that was kind of exactly what I was, kind of mentioning too, is earlier that year he was at the Reedy race, with a belt drive 4-wheel drive, and he's like, it works all right, but you kind of have to keep up with the trends with what the other teams are doing as well. Nobody else had a belt drive car at all. So he did a lot of work, got something that he liked, and like I said, the turnaround with Yokomo is so fast. I mean, that was January, and the Worlds were November.
Mm-hmm.
It was already a completely new car, already for sale.
Yeah,
and went out and won the biggest race you could in just that short a time. I mean, you went from nothing to something, very well.
So, kind of going into, they're in the old days, I guess you could say, the off-road cars, they had a long shelf life. If you go back to the, my racing generation, the B3s, the B4s, you get into the cars that you ran, of course, B4s and Kyosho and everything, and they had a longer shelf life. Today, the turnaround time is a lot faster, and we're even seeing the Associateds turn them around. 1 year, 2 years, they have to do something to keep up. We got X-Ray; they have a new car every year. You guys are producing an update or something to that nature. You have 2 kits right now that you're promoting, which is one basically a carpet type car, a Lee Martin version, then you have sort of the Mayfield type world champion off-road type car. But what do you see there kind of going down the road? I mean, the 4-wheel drive car has it's not really that old already, but the way the market goes is there's always a little update, there's always something coming. What do you see for the guys that are with Yokomo now? What do you see coming down the road that maybe they should look forward to and that type of thing?
Yeah, well, it's kind of, like you were saying, back in the day, it was like Losi came out with their Triple X platform, and I mean, it seemed like they had that car forever.
Mm-hmm.
And the same with the B4. I think the B4 was 6-7 years, something like that. It was, and I think it's cool now how all these teams are updating their cars more currently, because a lot of the hobby shops at that time with the Triple X, the B4, it's like when a new car comes out, they're like, oh no, this is all new parts. This is, it was mainly a completely new car.
Mm-hmm.
I think now it makes it easier for the hobby shops if the teams do updates like they're doing, to where it's just a few parts here or there, but most of the stuff is interchangeable. So it's oh, we have these new arms, or we have these new hubs. It's
Mm-hmm.
a customer doesn't have to go out and just purchase a brand new car. They can either get it because it's time to get a new car, or just buy a few updated parts.
Mm-hmm.
And like you said, the trends change so fast. It's something is working good for all the cars, the teams go to it. And then I know at Reedy race 2 years ago, Mayfield had a problem with the E-clip on a shock.
Mm-hmm.
And I would say a few months later, we had these updated shock shafts that thread in, like an 8-scale shock, and just completely eliminated that issue altogether. So Yeah, I think with Yokomo, we're for sure working on a few new stuff for the four-wheel drive. I know we already have lightweight drivetrain parts that Jake Thayer has been testing at OCRC. I didn't really mention him at the beginning too, but yeah, he was a huge part of this as well, coming over from the Losi side over to us. He's been a big help with testing at OCRC, which is like one of the main West Coast tracks that we visit quite a few times a year. So he tested the drivetrain stuff at the stock nats. So we have that in the works, and I mean, like you said, I wouldn't be surprised by the end of the year if we have a small updated version on the four-wheel as well. Since I've been working for Yokomo, which has been less than a year, we've already had the YZ2 DTM, which was like Mayfield's first car, and then we did his World's Edition release, which is kind of a limited edition, just kind of reflect on the memory, and it was it's kind of one of those iconic things. And then we already have that DTM2 now that we're looking into, kind of proceeding with that. But yeah, we're always working hard to make it better.
So one thing that we've noticed this weekend is Mayfield's running a truck, and the Associated guys were nice enough to let him use a T6 truck this weekend, and it doesn't take a genius to figure out that if you see Mayfield running a truck out there, has a one-color body, and he's wheeling it a little bit, that that gets people kind of thinking. It's got some Yokomo decals on it. What for the fans out there looking? Are you guys thinking about kind of going that direction eventually?
Yeah, I mean, I would say our truck's about 90% done already. There's a few pictures out there for a limited few, and it's going to be good. The focus is to have it done close towards the end of the year, maybe by fall if we can kind of get a few other things kind of sorted. But yeah, I think this is the perfect opportunity for Mayfield to come here. He hasn't ran a truck in a while. I mean, he's running arguably the best truck at this race. So, I mean, that will be something great to compare when our truck comes out, to kind of know the pace. And, yeah, I mean, he can drive anything. So it's just a matter of time of him getting comfortable with a setup. But yeah, we'll for sure have a truck by at least the end of the year. We're shooting for fall, and just in time for indoor season.
Good. So that really gives guys something to look forward to. As far as completing the line, there is some guys that are really diehard truck guys, and and it helps in this business too when there becomes a new truck out on the market that people can kind of jump to, and if the Associated truck's fresh, the X-Ray has a truck, you got TLR with a fresh truck, and then if you guys jump in the mix, I mean, now we have this kind of something that everyone kind of sink their teeth into a little bit, right?
Yeah, I was hopefully this will get us back to kind of how we were, where, all the pro guys, they would always run the three main classes. It'd be two-wheel, four-wheel truck. For the longest time, we had, people running short course, which is good, but I think it always split people up. Some would run short course, some would run truck. But if this could kind of get us back to where we're all at these races, they all have a lot of entries.
Yeah.
So if that can just be one more class to kind of run, and I mean, for us, it will be a big boost with sales too, because we have a lot of team drivers that are wanting to run truck, but they're having to, get something else, and kind of like you said, it kind of just completes the brand.
All right, Joe. Well, thanks for joining us. Appreciate Yokomo being at the events and supporting everything here, and it's been nice working with you. And Ryan having some help in the pits has been great. And congrats on you guys winning that Worlds. It was amazing. You being over there and getting that done with Ryan, and I know it's a big thing for him. And I hope to see more of that type of performance. We got more events coming up this year. And again, thanks for joining us, and good luck, and we'll see you next time.
Cool. Yeah, thank you. This series has been awesome. Yokomo, jumped on board to be a sponsor of the event, obviously with the relationship with Ryan. And I mean, this is the coolest thing. You get to visit, different tracks, different locations we don't normally hit. And I think it's a good way for customers to kind of see all the products as well.